question, why does fasting not give us taqwa? For example, if in the month of Ramadan, shaitan has been chained, why do fasting Muslims commit sin? For example, last week, we caught a young man who burgled a house in our community. This young man is always at the mosque. He has Asr Sujud. He was fasting. But the period he was supposed to be doing tahajjud, towards taking sahur, he was stealing. He was caught midnight between 3 and 4:30. He ran away. His shirt was seized. Because he was popular with that shirt, the same shirt he used to steal in Ramadan. So why is it that people still commit sins? They commit adultery, fornication in Ramadan. People live their normal sinful life in Ramadan. One thing that has intrigued me for the past 20 years, no, for the past 25 years, is that many families are in chaos in Ramadan. Many families, including my own. Consistently, we have to fight. You know, whether by 15th of Ramadan or during the last 10 nights, the last 10 days of Ramadan, what happens? That our taqwa does not give us patience to avoid fighting in the family. I'm saying this because I've experienced it personally. When there was 1 year that I had to leave where I was living with my wife to go and sleep alone in another house. In Ramadan, I carried my sahur and I relocated. So I'm saying nobody should say, ha, because it happened to me. And it is happening to people right away. As I'm talking to you, I'm trying to reconcile a family whose wife is a life coach and who is threatening divorce. The wife that is threatening divorce, whose husband has been begging since Friday, is a life coach. And she wants the divorce before the 20th of Ramadan. She wanted to enter itikaf as one who is not married. Why do we have these situations? We want to ask, why does fasting not have this efficacy to give us patience not to fight in the family? Alhamdulillah, since I've been settling quarrels, I've had my own share too, to know that is a common thing. And if it has affected you like it has affected me, then we should ask a question. And then the Prophet ﷺ was prayed to have said that the shaitan is always in chain in Ramadan. So how did he, if it is shaitan that is causing this trouble, does he break the chain in order to attack us? Okay, so let's start. I start with a very strange thing that is happening in my mosque in Abuja. There is no space for women. Women don't come to mosque. But during Ramadan, they will create the second chamber of the mosque for the women. In another mosque where I lived before, They created a chamber too, which was meant for women only in Ramadan. Women were not allowed to come to pray in the mosque. And it looked like it is even haram for them to pray in the mosque. But when Ramadan comes, they must come and pray and do Taraweeh. Yesterday, I observed to someone who could tell the Imam, because I could not tell the Imam, that 90% of these women and girls that come to masjid at night, supposedly for Taraweeh, they do not pray in the mosque. They will be outside. Only 10 women will be inside the mosque. The masjid, the chamber they prepared for them. Those girls are outside displaying themselves. They could pray Isha, because I only pray Isha. But after Isha, they are not joining them in Tarawih. They are there sitting down, making noise, and then pressing phone. My thinking is that since you have done a wrong thing, it cannot be righted. You have banned these women from coming to mosque normally when it is not haram. You now created a bid'ah in Ramadan, then the bid'ah kills the sunnah that it was meant to be. Taraweeh is sunnah. And it is also bid'atun hasana. What I know, I may be wrong, I beg you to correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Prophet Islam did Taraweeh once, people joined him. He did it twice, people joined him. The third day, he did not come out. When people went to him, he said, I'm afraid you will make it compulsory. Whereas it is not compulsory. What I also know is that it is equivalent of tahajjud. It's Qiyam al-Layl. So I am not aware, and I stand to be corrected too, that the Prophet Islam would do Taraweeh in Ramadan and also do tahajjud. And I'm not also aware that it is wrong, because I do it. I do Taraweeh once in a while, I do tahajjud all the time. Whether Ramadan or no Ramadan. Now, 90% of Muslims regard Taraweeh as part of fasting. Àgbààwẹ̀ má kà sámú, ẹrú lè mọ́mù ni. Ó fi pípa rẹ̀ ni. Okay, Imam wa ní àgbààwẹ̀ má kà sámú, ó fi pípa rẹ̀. This is not correct. Taraweeh is a supplicatory prayer that has its own rewards. It is meant to support the fasting as an act of ibadah that will give you taqwa. Normally, ibadah is the means of achieving taqwa. But fasting is for the day. Other acts of ibadah like Taraweeh, Tahajjud, Tilawatul Quran is for day and night. Salawat are for day and night. Fasting is only for the day. So Taraweeh, Tahajjud, Tilawatul Quran, Azkar, Tafsir, they are other means of achieving taqwa that will lead to hidayah. However, we observe this Taraweeh mechanically. It becomes a means of showing off. The Imam does street show in Ramadan. Imams do street shows in Ramadan. That is when they do murajjah. They display their knowledge of the Quran. May Allah forgive one Imam in Abuja here. One of our children caught him taking drug. He was taking marijuana. He was smoking M before he entered the mosque to be high so as to discharge during Tarawih. So we find this situation quite worrisome. Quite worrisome. Number two, itikaf. Itikaf is also sunnah. The trend now is to make it compulsory and to turn it into lesser hajj. Umrah, you travel, is a whole program. Even in our masjid here, in this masjid, we give out form. People register. Free. We collect money. No. You don't collect money here. Ah, it is business. So in other places, it is big business in other places. Then you have programs that you run throughout the itikaf. I don't know what this one is. I don't know. I don't know where we got this. This is bid'ah. Itikaf is an opportunity for an individual to relate with and connect with his God, with Allah, private ibadah. Then you don't have lectures. You invite lecturers. You contribute money. You do all sorts of things, all in the name of Ramadan. How can our fasting be efficacious when we have introduced all sorts of things that are not part of it? Yes, of course, we concentrate on fasting, but we factor matters that are not related to fasting into the fasting, as if once Ramadan is 20, everybody must be in itikaf, and you must travel to the best masjid where you can do the itikaf. The question is this the sacrifice that is required for itikaf? Imams, take note, you are going to do the damage control because I'm likely going to scatter grounds. That I'm aware that there are only 3 masajid where a Muslim can travel to for the purpose of ibadah. The Haramain, the one in Mecca, the one in Medina, and the third one, Masjid al-Aqsa. Apart from these 3, I'm not aware of any masjid where you can travel because you want to do ibadah. You have to travel. We are introducing heresy. We are talking about convenience. If you want to do itikaf, there is no convenience. There is no convenience. The Prophet Islam did itikaf in the masjid where he lives. He lives in that masjid. His apartment is just by the masjid. The masjid and his house are together. Am I right? So those who did itikaf along with him were his companions whose houses were around the masjid. Nobody traveled from anywhere to come and do itikaf with the Prophet. And he never addressed them. He only led them in prayer. Where did we find our own? They are making itikaf compulsory now. People make it compulsory. So what happens to those of us who have never done it? I'm the only person here who has never done itikaf. I don't have enough. It's okay. What is your own? I need to upgrade my iman. Yeah. Can you hear them? Are they right? One of them said, I have no iman. The other one said, I need to upgrade my iman. So what are you saying too? Now, I can travel to Mecca for Umrah during the last 10 days and do my itikaf in Mecca or Medina and finish the itikaf on each day. But this idea of programming itikaf, not doing itikaf around your house, where your family can bring your sahur and iftar, but you have to detach completely from them, so that if there's an emergency, you either break your itikaf or break your family. Am I making sense? Let me repeat it. Itikaf is meant to be done around, so that should there be emergency in your home, you leave itikaf. It is not compulsory. You leave itikaf, go and attend to emergency in your family. Or you wickedly, losing your faith and taqwa, continue your itikaf because of the reward, because you have made it compulsory, and damage your family. Don't care. Whatever is going to happen to your family, let it happen. You are on itikaf. Nobody can break it. I know somebody who does not talk during itikaf. He does askar, he reads the Quran, what else does he do? He does askar, he reads the Quran. That's all. He does all the salawat. He does not talk to anybody. He doesn't even return taslim. But he also traveled to go and do itikaf. He wrote a book about itikaf. May Allah forgive him. May Allah put him in Al-Jannah. So thank you, Prof. I have never done it too, not because of this problem, but because I will never have time. I cannot abandon Muslims who want to hear tafsir, who want to hear my lecture, who want to benefit from me. And I cannot abandon this benefit for myself too, the rewards I will get by benefiting others. I cannot abandon this for personal reward in itikaf. So these are the cobwebs that we need to remove from our minds, free our minds. Many people who cannot do itikaf are feeling, they are feeling oppressed by those who do itikaf. They are feeling intimidated by those who do itikaf. Come on, don't feel intimidated. Inna sa'ayakum la shatta. The final point I want to make is that itikaf has now become an avenue for contact, for business, for marriage. Single men and women reserve itikaf for the magic of getting fixed. Somebody will divorce his or her spouse in order to go and get a pious spouse in itikaf. Women now attend itikaf. Allahu Akbar. I have no comment on that. Yeah, if a woman of easy virtue knows that there will be a man who will think that a woman that is able to do itikaf is pious, and she's a street girl, will she not wear jalbab and niqab to come and do itikaf? And people fix people in itikaf. You see the umara, they will say, write your request and submit. Those whose request is for a spouse, they will organize how they will meet in itikaf. And many of such have broken. Many of such marriages have gone to the winds. And you did it, you connected during itikaf. Let's go to the second point. The second point is that fasting is practical taqwa. If you don't know what taqwa is consciousness of the presence of Allah in your life that drives ihsan. Everywhere that Allah has explained taqwa by describing the muttaqun. It has been explained in terms of faith and righteousness. Imam, can we take a few of it? There are two groups of ayat in the Quran concerning taqwa. Ayat that say, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullah. They are about 9. Let's take 5 of them because of time. Then ayat that describe the muttaqun as alladhina yu'minuna bil ghaib wa yuqimuna as-salat and so on. It will describe every ayah that describes the muttaqun, will describe them in terms of 2 things only: iman and ihsan. I stand to be corrected. So if Allah wants you to have taqwa, He makes you stay away from your food, your drink, and your spouse between Fajr and Maghrib. Between these periods, it is called Iddah. The whole month is called Iddah. Ustaz, in Ayah 185, Allah mentions Iddah twice.
No.
Does it mean the same Iddah that people do during divorce, during...
No.
What does it mean? It is Iddah, the same spelling. What does Iddah mean? Iddah means restriction. During Iddah, both man and woman are restricted from each other. When the man approaches the woman, he breaks the Iddah, and the Iddah does not continue. And so the marriage is reconnected. When a woman lost her husband, when a woman loses her husband, she's in Iddah, restricted from marrying until after the Iddah, 4 months, 10 days. Ustaz should tell us the difference between the Iddah of Ramadan and the Iddah of marriage and widowed. Go on, go on, go on. I'm not saying you're doing it. My opinion, which may be wrong, which may require correction, is that Iddah here simply means restriction. Then you are restricted. You are conscious of the vigilance of Allah, the presence of Allah. That is why you did not go inside, take your food, drink, do whatever you want to do with your wife, and come out. Because fasting among the 5 pillars is the only confidential act of ibadah. If you know any other one, I will pay. I can afford 10,000 naira. Even though the month is 15. And if I don't have it, I have people who will pay. This person will pay. If I have some, will pay. Everybody will pay. Everybody will pay. Even ambassador will pay. In case I'm wrong. I'll carry out to call. The point I'm making is this, and it's simple. It is that when you are fasting, 2 things are happening to you. Number 1, taqwa comes into your life that Allah is there. And it's Allah alone that you are restricting yourself for. It is the height of sincerity. That is not for anybody. It is an inconvenience that you bear patiently because of the obedience to Allah. It is the peak of sincerity. Allah is watching you. So you restrict yourself from your food, from your drink, from intimacy. Number two, your spirit takes charge of your body. There is an unannounced, non-articulated, non-verbalized connection and deal between body and soul. Meanwhile, you are body and soul. If you don't know, let me remind you. Your body is an expression of your soul. It's not you. That is why when you leave the body, we bury the corpse. Your body becomes a corpse. It's just an expression. Although it is the same body that you use to oppress your soul by giving the body whatever it desires and requests for. Allah created the body to like 5 things. All the 5 are denied during fasting. I hope I will remember the 5. If I don't remember, Fatah will remind me. Number 1, food. And once you are filled, something happens down here. Something happens. Bá a sọ̀rọ̀ tán ẹ̀rín láàrin. Bá a bá jẹun tán, oorun ní kunni. Bá a bá jẹyán tán, oorun ní kunni. Torí yán ló ń jẹ. Something happens. You want to eat, enjoy food, then sleep and enjoy sleep. Number 3, why going to sleep? Your body is rejuvenated with the food, and your private requires sex. Everybody that is healthy wants food, sleep, and sex. Everybody that is healthy wants food, sleep, and sex. The next one is greed. 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 Every human being has greed. The greed to want more, to satisfy your desire. And this greed is manifested, exemplified, actualized, operationalized in 3 ways. In pleasure of money, pleasure of food, banked money, banked food, pleasure of good clothes, pleasure of good clothes, pleasure of listening to things that will make you happy, pleasure of saying things, cracking jokes, saying things that will make you and others happy. These are the pleasures that are manifested by greed. How does fasting clip all this? Food, there is restriction during the day, no food. So that your body is aware that there is another counterpart that is now in charge. Your body accepts this deal between 1st of Ramadan and 29th. If on the 30th of Ramadan, the moon was sighted, your body will tell you, I'm rebelling. The deal is over. If you took sahur and 7 o'clock in the morning, you heard that the moon has been sighted, your body tells you, oh yeah, food. Whereas, your body does not remind you of food until when? Until iftar. What about between Asri and iftar? What about around 12? Around 12, okay. For energetic people, around 12, the sugar level falls. Then you realize that you are fasting. When it is almost time for fasting, the body reminds you, You have been oppressing me. You have been oppressing me. Then you tell the body, don't worry. It is just 1 hour time. Just in a moment, I will address that problem. This is the way we are. Food, sex, Allahu Akbar. I know somebody who had issue yesterday. He had issue, serious issue. He slept back after Subhi. When he woke up to go to the toilet to pee, he found his wife naked, taking a bath. He rushed out of the toilet to find another place to take his bath. You know, and I have no comment. Do you have any comment? I have no comment. So when I heard, I said, no comment. No comment. Then sleep. You are restricted from your sleep because of tahajjud or tarawih and sahur. That is why most people after subhi, they want to swim away. Abi? What do we? What is? These are the. When we were in school, we call it post subhi. Post subhi. But what is it during Ramadan? Post sahur. Post sahur. Yeah, your sleep is restricted. To tell you that you can control it. These are the greeds in human beings. You can control it. Whoever can control his stomach, his sleep, and other things, he can control any part of his life. Any kind of pressure, he can control it. Then you are made to give sadaqah to control your greed. You are made to give sadaqah so that you won't restrict your money to yourself. And the best sadaqah is food. And that is what you give as sadaqah to fitri at the end of the. Then, finally, you are restricted in what you see and what you say. This is the fault line of many Muslims. They don't restrict their eyes to see things. They don't restrict their ears from hearing things. Some of us have had to shut down certain platforms during this Ramadan. Absami, did you notice? You didn't notice. You were busy. You know, helping. I deliberately stay away from many WhatsApp platforms. I'm not sure what I'm doing is going to be acceptable. I don't want to take a risk. Choking my mouth in things that I will not know, so that I don't want to be. Islam said, this is what you have been eating as you've been gossiping and backbiting since morning. What happens on WhatsApp platform apart from gossiping and backbiting? So you want to eat flesh and drink blood during Ramadan. This is what you have not been doing. And this is what you should start doing. Restrain your eyes and your ears during Ramadan. Finally, why does fasting not control troubles? Why did we catch a boy with Asra Sujud during Saud burgling a house? He actually damaged the burglary wire on the fence. And he and a small boy who probably had also taken Saud, or after the robbery, they will go and take Saud and continue to fast. Why do people commit crime when Shaitan has been restrained? To doubt this hadith is to take a risk. But to understand this hadith is to do good service to yourself. One, Shaitan was restrained, but was not killed. That he was restrained does not mean that he had no children that he sends on errands. Shaitan that knows that he will be restrained in Ramadan will have planned ahead, and it can execute it auto. He will put the execution on auto. That this idiot, he must commit crime. He must not get reward for his fasting. That is fool. Allah must not answer his prayer. Therefore, you be in charge of him. During Ramadan, let him commit this, let him commit that. And this family has the propensity to be successful. So you make sure either they divorce or they threaten divorce. Make sure they fight in this family before Ramadan ends. That is the way to understand it. The second way to understand it, so as not to feel frustrated. Why, in spite of fasting? Why? Don't ask this question. But ask yourself, why did the Prophet ﷺ pray against self and shaitan? Why did he pray against self when he seeks protection? وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفْسِ وَمِنْ شَرِّ الشَّيْطَانِ وَالشِّرْكِ. Let's take the zikri from the beginning now. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min shari nafsi wa min shari shaitan wa shirki. There is a shar of your soul, and that is worse than the shar of shaitan. Because this is the last ayah of the Quran as compiled. أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس ناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. You and you are worse than jinn, one of which is shaitan. Two other hadiths. Rasulullah was prayed to have said, this is targhib, that you take 2 steps to enter Al-Jannah. He said, what do you mean? 2 steps, how? He said, take 1 step upon your nafs. Upon your nafs. The next step will land you in Al-Jannah. The second hadith and the final one. Rasulullah told us that whenever you want to be tempted by shaitan, and you do isti'aza by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, shaitan will attempt to go. Why going? He will hand you over to your nafs. Say, take care of him. So what shaitan cannot make you do, your nafs will make you do. Have you done something before that you know that is wrong? And when you regret it, you say it's the work of shaitan. No. If it is the work of shaitan, you will not know that it is wrong. Shaitan will not let you know that it is wrong. Like he told Adam alayhi salatu wasalam that Aladullukum, Shajaratul Khuld, Ala Shajaratul Khuld wa Mulk La Yabla. Can I show you tree of eternity and authority that does not perish? Adam did not know eternity. He knew tree. He didn't know eternity. He didn't know authority that does not perish. But when Shaitan showed him the tree, he said, no, this is the tree we have been asked not to eat. But when he fired the third shot by saying, Allah did not forbid you, except that you don't become two angels, or so that you won't live forever. He didn't know this. He didn't know that he was superior to angel. So Shaitan manipulated him. So when he realized, he said, Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa in lam takfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. Our Lord, we have oppressed our souls. If you don't forgive us and have mercy, we will be destroyed. But your soul will tell you it is wrong, but you have to do it. Somebody committed zina during Ramadan. He justified it that he was making a widow happy. Instead of allowing the widow to commit zina, he committed zina with her. And he justified it. Is that shaitan? That is not shaitan. That is his own soul. His own soul. So, anytime konika to baka, only those of you who fight, I used to fight. Those of you who fight, you carried over tension, unhappiness, crisis, conflict into Ramadan. You fight in Ramadan, not because your fasting is not efficacious, but because your soul is dirty. You did not allow fasting to cleanse your soul. Next week, inshallah ta'ala, we will read the two groups of ayat that command taqwa and the ones that describe muttaqun. But I'll give you samples. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبعث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا واتقوا النار الذي وقودها الناس والإجارة وعدة للكافرين واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يسلمون واتقوا فتنة لا يصيبن الذين ظلموا منكم خاصة واعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. These are 5 of the 7 ayat that command taqwa. You must fear whatever Allah asks you to fear. Whoever does not obey this command, his fasting is bottled, cannot make him have it. And the muttaqun are those described in Ayah 177 of Surah Al-Baqarah. They are those described in Ayah 1 to 5 of Surah Al-Baqarah. They are the ones described in Ayah 133 to 135, Surah Al-Imran. So we go to this tafsir, inshallah ta'ala, next. Whatever I've said that makes sense is a grace from Allah. Whatever doesn't is my own weakness. If I was wrong, you can correct me too. I cannot give you what I don't have. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. So also here, Oyedele Rauf, kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ tí yín o? So also here o, kí ni ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Ó yá sọ.
Okay, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
ìgbà tá a gbóyin mọ́ ni.
Okay.
Okay, ṣé tí wàá gbọ́ nísìn?
A ti gbọ́.
Mo ṣe bí nǹkan míì ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bí ìlú.